Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of Next to Madison. On this episode, it's going to be a little bit different. It is just me. I'm going to go through some of the highlights of the recent episodes we've had, talk about the upcoming guest this fall. I'm also going to do an exciting announcement myself, a project I've been working on, which I can actually start to announce. I'll talk more about it on upcoming episodes. But yes, super excited. Again, if you guys have not subscribed, please do so. Also, leave us a rating. It helps us find out what you love about the show or you don't love about the show, and also helps more people discover the show. So I'd be very grateful if you could do that. That would be amazing. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can watch the full episodes of each Next to Madison episode. I'm repeating myself here, but that's okay because we're just talking and having a conversation. I'm excited. I love doing this podcast because I feel like I learned so much. My goal is obviously to make each and every one of you happier, healthier, and wealthier. And I hope I am accomplishing that by the guests that are coming on the show. But this summer was an amazing, life was good. I was able to work on a secret project, which I'll announce towards the end. I was able to sit down with amazing guests. I was able to go to New York City, do a lot of great amazing business meetings. I was able to also have some fun in the Hamptons. I do love the Hamptons. I love seeing all kind of running into people. It's kind of like a reunion when I go out there. So I was very excited and grateful I was able to do that. So yeah, but this summer was unbelievable with the episodes. We had two guests, Carlton Johnson and Vanessa Farsdacki, who came on and talked about space and let us know that space travel for you and I is going to be possible in the next 10 to 20 years, hopefully in 10 years, because I'm dying to see what our planet looks like for myself on the outside. Kind of helps put things into perspective. I know William Shatner, when he went up with Jeff Bezos, he came back and he had said, one of our guests mentioned this on the podcast, just how vulnerable our planet is and how small we are in this vast universe. So when you're taking yourself too seriously or your problems too seriously, just remember we are here for such a short time and we are so small. So put that into perspective and try to go into more of a grateful mindset. So very exciting stuff. He also mentioned that there's going to be a lot of investment opportunity in the space industry. So look out for that. Vanessa touched on the fact that there's going to be space medicine. The body is going to operate differently in space. So they need to understand how to treat people that are sick or get injured up there on vacation or living there. Will need to be treated. So a lot of research going on there. There are going to be shopping malls. There are going to be hairdressers. There's going to be restaurants. How are they going to get all these things up into this space station? And it's funny, the shopping malls, there are luxury brands who are actually already in the process of designing their space store. And it's fun. That was funny to me because here we are on the planet shutting down shopping malls because everyone's going online. But apparently when you go to space, you're going to want to go to the mall. So who knew? That's very exciting. So look out for companies that are making a lot of developments in those space. In that space, no pun intended, could be a great financial investment. Again, this is not financial advice. Do your own research, take your own risk, only invest what you can afford to lose. We also talked about hormones. We had Dr. Deb Matthews come on. That was a very insightful interview because during that time I had been struggling myself. I was not feeling well. I had lack of focus. I was tired. Something wasn't right. And my friends that I had told this said, why don't you go to your primary care doctor, see if maybe you need a light antidepressant or you need ADD or ADHD medication. But I knew I wanted to make sure my body was operating properly before I went down just the medication route. So thankfully, I was able to find a doctor through Dr. Deb. I unfortunately couldn't go to her because I wasn't in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she is located. If you are in Charlotte, go see her. But I was able to find somebody where I was located at that time in Denver who did the test. And sure enough, it came back that my testosterone levels were extremely low. And a lot of you listening may say, but you're a woman. You don't need that much testosterone. You actually do. You do need testosterone. And there's a certain level that women should be at. Some naturally produce more than others. But because of, certain foods or lifestyle choices I was making, or things I'd done in the past, my testosterone really kind of dipped below levels, way below the level they should be at. So I was able to get that treated. They actually did pellets. They just made a really small incision in my left butt cheek and they numbed you so it did not hurt. They dropped them in. They seal you up just kind of with a stitch Band-Aid thing so you don't really feel it. And you have a Band-Aid on you, a waterproof Band-Aid for 3 days. You can leave it on longer if you want. I left mine on for actually 5 days. Just wanted to make sure everything was good. And you have a little bruise, and then 4 weeks, you start to feel better. My focus is back. I feel happier. I'm not as tired, and I just feel like I kind of really got my life back. So if you're not feeling normal or you're tired or just something feels off, definitely encourage you to go get your hormones checked. Unfortunately, you can't get the in-depth hormone check through your primary care doctor because of insurance purposes. That's a whole nother story. So go to a private practice doctor that specializes in this. Get the test. Even if you are feeling kind of normal, I think it's a good idea if you can to get the test just to kind of figure out where you're at and what you could be doing to help yourself feel better. Our bodies are like a car. If you put shitty oil in a car, it's not going to operate well. If you're running low on gas, you're not going to get to your destination. Your body needs to function properly so then you can manifest and reach your goals and desires. There's no amount of self-help book, no amount of positive podcasts or affirmations that you can be doing. If your body's not working, you are not going to work. So that was a very, very eye-opening, life-changing episode really for me, because I secretly was absolutely just really struggling in June. And I had thought I'd kind of gotten over that. I had developed and learned the tools I needed to where if I felt a little down, I was able to kind of identify it and get myself out of that funk, because it is normal to have ups and downs, right? You can't experience pure joy without sadness. You can't experience sadness if you don't know, if you aren't with the joy. I may be rambling, but you get what I'm saying. It's very important that you don't stay in that state. And if you are in that state, to really figure out what's going on. Now, once your hormones are balanced and you're still feeling like crap, you may need to have a light medication. But again, consult with your doctor before just popping the pills. I also, I don't know if I've talked about on this podcast, but I also hereditarily have a hypothyroid issue, and I had been on medication. And what I found by going to have my hormones checked with the test, the in-depth test they did, was that my medication was no longer working. So they were able to get that adjusted. That was a big thing. Also, being into skincare and anti-aging, I wasn't going in the sun. I was using the tan towels, and I was taking a vitamin D, but I wasn't taking it often enough or high enough dose. So my vitamin D levels were down. So I found out more than I expected by doing that. So definitely I encourage you to get those checked, especially if you're in menopause and you're having all the symptoms of menopause, which I've heard are not fun. You can have these pellets put in that are customary to what you need to start feeling better. If you have not hit menopause like myself, I think this is a good thing, not only to feel better, but also to catch the hormones as they're changing as you get older, because they are constantly changing, to make sure that you're operating at your optimal best so you can reach everything you desire to do and live your best life, because this is our life. We're here for such a short amount of time. And I've said this to friends, and I think I've said this on the podcast. There's two things that I think should be on the forefront of everyone's mind: mortality and morality. Okay. Your mortality at the forefront of your mind is going to make you enjoy what you have and take things less seriously. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, how different your problems or your to-do list might be, or even in 6 months. And then mortality is, you need to be a good person. Okay. You just can't be a piece of shit. You don't want to be a piece of shit. Karma is real. You can be kind, be kind. We all have our days where maybe we're just annoyed with the world. Maybe we're a little rude to people. Try to catch yourself if that's happening and stop it, because you want to be a good person. When you're gone, you want people to say, that was a nice woman. That was a nice dude. That was a nice gentleman. That's the type of reputation you want. But mortality at the forefront will put things into perspective to say, you know what? If that's not going to matter in 5 days, 5 months, or 5 years, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I may be getting a little older, and my thighs don't exactly look the same, but like, who cares? Is that really that important? You need to live each day as if could be your last. Enjoy it. That's not meant to be depressing or anything of that sort. I just think that those are two things that I put on the forefront of my mind, and they help me live a happier, healthier, wealthier life, because I am not afraid to take those risks. Because if I knew I could die at any moment, which all of us can, you're not going to be as scared of the opinions of others, or should I post this? Should I not? We're all going to have moments where we feel like, oh gosh, we're second guessing ourselves. Put the mortality in front of your mind, and you're going to be like, nah, I don't really care. But also morality, because you need to be a good person. So that is important. We need more kindness in this world. Absolutely. We also had two amazing business people come on who wrote books. One was Stratus Morfogen, very successful restaurateur. He wrote a book called Be a Disruptor. It has done phenomenal. You have not read this, pick yourself up a copy of this book. He talks about his experience running restaurants in New York City, dealing with the mobs, and then having to deal with Wall Street, and then the mandates. He said working with the mob was better than working with the politicians. All of us have read the news, and after COVID, most of us can agree that that is probably the case. Sad, but true. We also had Dahlia Feldheim, who is a C-suite executive who wrote a book called Dare to Lead Like a Girl. It has also done phenomenal. So pick yourself up a copy of this book as well. It is amazing. It is insightful. It is also for men, okay? It is important how you lead your team, of how your company will be, or your business, if you own it, will be more successful. So those were awesome. So honored to have those. And we had a lot of other amazing episodes as well. I also recently, last week, sat down with SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce. That was a great interview. Number one, because I was talking to the SEC and I was not in trouble. You never want to talk to the SEC, like, ever, unless you're interviewing them. But she did provide some insightful information that if there's things that they can improve upon, that they are open to hearing them. Hopefully that is true. She also, I have to say up front, like, I was very limited on time with this interview. I also wasn't allowed to bring up specific names. There was a lot more I really wanted to kind of dive into and get into, but I did bring up the GameStop Citadel situation, which I know was very frustrating for a lot of our listeners and other people that are out there that were involved with this, with Robinhood freezing things and really kind of awakening the masses to, wow, they really are there to protect Wall Street and not Main Street. So if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and listen to that one. That was exciting for me. I was somebody who worked on Wall Street, so being able to have the SEC on my podcast was very, very cool. So I want to thank our producer, Lynette Dallas, who I try to mention when I come on by myself. She's amazing. Without her, this podcast wouldn't be what it is. So thank you, Lynette. You're amazing. Our upcoming guests, we have a lot coming up. I'm very excited. We're going to talk about cybersecurity, which is very important as everybody is now online, doing everything online now. So that is important. We're going to talk more with crypto. Next week, we have a woman CEO who's going to talk about the crypto media company that she runs and how they're able to stay on top of all the quick changes that are happening in such an innovative and growing space. We also have doctors coming on that are going to talk about health and wellness tips to live your best life. Again, your health is your wealth, so you need to be healthy to get wealthy. We are also talking about, I met a guy actually when I was in New York who had an amazing story, and he's coming on. He is now a singer. He was somebody who went home, lost his job during COVID, went homeless, and was able to decide he wanted to sing, and that was his passion, to spread joy to others in such tough times. And he has become massively successful. I'm so excited about that. I'm also talking to a top plastic surgeon about breast augmentation. This is an area that a lot of people have dealt with, whether they've had their own implants or had implants and had complications and have now had to have them removed. There is something that is breast implant illness that has made a lot of people sick. Not everyone is affected by it, but it's important to understand the risk and also the innovations that are happening in this space. So if you do decide to go down that route, how you can keep yourself safe, and all those juicy questions that we will be covering. Also, exciting announcement. I have been working on a project, a secret project that I am going to lightly announce on upcoming episodes. I'll announce it more. But October 4th, set your calendars. This is a very exciting day. I wrote a book, and on October 4th, it's going to be available online and at Barnes & Noble, and then eventually Target and Walmart.com, all your bookstores. I'm very excited. It is a self-help book with a side of humor. I put a lot of my comedy into it and just a real authentic take on self-help. It is called Time to Lighten the Fuck Up, which I felt was such a great title because we are all so tense with everything going on in the world today. And also as somebody who considered myself operating very high strung, I always would joke and say, okay, it's time to lighten the fuck up, Madison. So this was the perfect title for this book. It talks a lot about my struggles, majority of them self-induced, kind of self-sabotage, why I was struggling, why I wasn't reaching my goals, why I was reading so many self-help books and listening to podcasts and I wasn't getting the results I wanted to, why I couldn't manifest, why the law of attraction wasn't working for me, all this stuff that I finally was able to break through and start living the life I want to live, and a life that I'm very proud of, and how I was able to look back and identify the things that were happening that were becoming obstacles in my way. So I wrote this book, and I'm hoping that you will read it, and also that it will help you. And if you know somebody who is just graduating high school or even college, this is a great book for them. I feel like it's kind of a guide, where you can say, okay, well, I'm going to feel this because I'm 20s and I need to learn, right? You need to make mistakes to learn. But also if you could have a guide to say, you know what, I'm kind of going down that path. Stop, let's turn around, back this bus up and fix this before it gets worse. Or if you're somebody who is stuck in a dead-end job and you feel you want more out of life, or you just are kind of in a rut and you're not getting to that next level, whether it's fitness or income or anything else you want in life, this book is for you. This book is for everybody because honestly, it's time to lighten the fuck up. So October 4th, very exciting. Next week, the pre-order links will be live, so you can go to timetolighthenthefuckup.com or timetolighthenthefup.com. Some people don't like to put the fuck word in a search browser, so I decided to provide you with 2 options. So very excited. I'll also be doing press rounds, so you'll start hearing me on other podcasts that you may listen to. Super excited about that. I do not do enough other podcasts that I need to be doing, so I'm excited for that. I'll also be doing some radio. I'll be doing some television. So I have got to start today kind of detoxing from all the summer fun that I've been having. Although it's been a ton of work with this book coming out, I have definitely enjoyed my time and maybe ate and drank a little too much these past 3 weeks. If you're watching our YouTube video, you can see I am up at the lake cabin. I came up here to spend time with family, to enjoy the lake, to enjoy the boat, to walk in nature, and also to put finishing touches on the book. So very excited. I can't believe this is happening. This has been a dream of mine for 5 years that I told nobody about. So I can't believe it's happening. So please pick yourself up a copy of the book. I'll be on again closer to the book launch to talk kind of about some of my favorite chapters and what you can expect from the book. So I will make sure to remind you about that. But I just want to kind of, get on here, although there's obviously no guest today. I just wanted to touch base and let you guys kind of know what's going on in the podcast world, or what's kind of going on with me. And also just to kind of touch base on gratitude again. We've had guests on the podcast to talk about gratitude and the importance of it. And for me, it has been life-changing. There's days where maybe I don't feel as great or feel as normal, but I go back into gratitude and it kind of really resets me. So how can you get more out of life if you're not thankful for what you already have? We talked about that, where we're saying if you bought somebody the perfect gift and they weren't that excited, you really wouldn't be motivated or excited to buy them a gift ever again. Well, that's kind of how the universe and God feels about you. They've given you so many different gifts. We have to appreciate and have gratitude for the big things and the small things so we can get more out of life and really appreciate what we have, because we do have so many gifts. And if you're somebody who may be a little stressed out and struggling, my advice is also shut off the news. I was like watching the news way too much, and I was finding myself just kind of just short tempered a little bit and just the world's falling apart, life sucks. And then I'm like, no, it doesn't. I walked outside and there's so many beautiful things. The birds were chirping, the grass was green, the sky was blue, the sun was shining. My friends were amazing. Family was amazing. I was writing up, but there were so many awesome things. And so I shut off the news. So that's a good thing too. I think everybody needs to take a news break. Stop watching it. If it's not making you happy, stop doing it. And that goes to anything. If you're eating food that makes you feel like shit, stop eating it. If you're watching shit that makes you feel like shit, stop watching it. And also social media. It's very important. I post on social media. Please follow me on Instagram at Next to Madison. But you need to detox from it, because there's been times I've literally been sitting by the dock and I'm going through social media, and in an hour and a half has passed and I'm going, oh my gosh, I could have totally learned better stuff or filled my mind with something else. And instead I was just doing this. So another thing you can do is set a social media alarm. That's another thing that I've added into my routine. And it's great because I pick 30 minutes for the day. And I'll look at it, or I won't look at it until this time and then look at it. And obviously it can be addicting if you post a photo. Like for me, if I post a bikini photo, I'm like, how many likes am I going to get? And it's addicting to look at it, but the likes are still going to be there. So look at it at the end of the day. But yeah, have gratitude, listen to this podcast, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. If you're not on our YouTube channel, definitely subscribe. We're going to try to really kind of push and focus more towards that as well. So a lot of exciting things. Look out for me on your TV, your favorite podcast. Hopefully it's this one, but your other favorite podcast, and the radio. And pick up a copy on October 4th of Time to Lighten the Fuck Up. I'm so excited, and I appreciate and I'm so thankful to each and every one of you who have tuned into this podcast. We are over 3 years into this podcast. I have never missed a Thursday, and I can't believe it. Time is flying by, and more people are listening and watching the podcast. And I'm so grateful. And now people are coming to me to come on the podcast. So if you have something that is very interesting that you would like to share that can help others to become happier, healthier, or wealthier, please reach out to us, contact@nexttomadison.com. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, well, I think that's all for now. I think I've covered everything. I had a little list here that I wanted to get through. So anyways, please tune in next week. We have a great episode, crypto media episode that I mentioned earlier. So we will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.